All right, and we are live for the Steelers Depot question and answer live stream here on June 1st. We'll get the stream going here in a moment. I'll have to go in and edit the title and everything, so give me a second to do that. But Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. What's the weather like where you're at?
It's been pretty cool today. It got real hot this past week, like 80s and 90, but now it's in like the 70s and pretty breezy. So, yeah, I can't complain too much.
Yeah, it's a bit balmy here today.
What's
Over
balmy
a
in
hundred.
Vegas though? Over 100.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, 100. Yeah, and it's been overcast last couple of days, which has kind of kept it and a little
yeah,
breeze, which has helped keep the temperature down. Because normally, we're right in now. We're started at 100 days of summer.
mm-hmm.
Where you're lucky if you don't have any of those days under. You obviously will have days underneath 100 degrees, but not many of them there.
Yeah,
But I think today's going to be a hot one, or is a hot one, because
mm-hmm.
it's already 4 o'clock here.
Yeah. Mutated genome, Echo Davis back. Really? Dave should sound good. He sounds good in my ear. Is it still like that, mutated genome?
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Hello, 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 testing. I
Yeah.
have done nothing different.
No, it should be good. It sounds good. I mean, I don't
Did
know.
you have some sort of audio? Don't you have to turn off audio or something?
Oh,
Or
yeah, maybe it was a desktop audio that had to be off. Give me a quick test, Dave.
test, 1, 2, 3, test, test,
Okay.
test.
Let me know if that's better. It might have been that I had the desktop audio that needed to be turned off because I think that was creating the echo there. So let us know now if it's good or not. As always, we're here for an hour to answer your questions. Dave, do you have the live stream or do you need the link to it?
I need the link,
All
please,
right.
sir.
Yeah, it's so weird sometimes how it doesn't like to show up. It's just hard to figure out why it does that. Let me send you the link right now so you can see the chat. Okay, Keith and James say it's better. Yeah, so my mistake there. All right, problem solved. Desktop audio needs to be off. I need to remind myself of that. We will put up the website here in a second. I just needed to change the title and everything. So thank you guys for being here. Again, feel free to ask any questions you guys have about the Steelers. I know we're in the really quiet period right now, but Dave and I are here to answer it for the next hour.
Absolutely. Hope everybody's doing good today.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Where's everybody in the chat from? Why don't you give us a little roll call in there, guys
Yeah.
and
Is it?
gals,
Mm-hmm.
if
Yeah.
there's any gals in there?
It's just great to see the reach of Steelers Nation. That's always something that's continually impressed me. It's just we get it from their podcast inbox as people. Where did we get the Czech Republic on the last show? Is that where you got
Yeah, we
someone
had
from?
one from the Czech Republic. Yeah, I mean we get them. It just blows my mind all the time. Let's see.
James.
We got New Mexico. All right around the corner from me.
Yeah.
How is Las Cruces? Do I want to visit there, James? Do I want to take a road trip over there?
Mutated from Fort Lauderdale. That's closer to my old neck of the woods. So yeah, there you go. Very cool.
Montreal, Portland. Let's see, Duncansville.
Cool. AJC, Tim Ray, thank you guys for being here. Again, be here for about an hour. If things are a little quiet tonight, then we'll wrap things up a little bit early. But yeah, any questions you guys have, just as a preview for the channel, I will have a Cam Hayward breakdown going up tomorrow, sometime on the channel. And then Wednesday will be my Out of the Park series with games 1 and 2 versus the Dodgers.
James says I wouldn't leave Vegas to come here. I don't know. When we drove. It's been 4 years, over 4 years now since we made the move out here and drove across country, and obviously not a lot to see on the stretch of highway going through New Mexico there, but all of those huge windmills that they have. I mean, just you go several miles and there'll be like a group. I mean, you can't even count them. Must be like 40 or 50 windmills together. So that's one of the things that stuck out to me. So I would like to still go to either Albuquerque or somewhere in New Mexico here. I
You
don't know,
could
maybe
take the right turn at Albuquerque.
there you go. There you go. But once again, thanks for everybody for joining us.
Absolutely. While we wait for some questions to come in, Dave, I want to get your thoughts on this. Peter King, I know this is very off-season fodder. He had his power rankings today, Peter King did, for Pro Football Talk as a Steelers 10th. He still is upset about the backup quarterback situation. Peter King's got big speak to your manager energy here about the Steelers backup quarterback.
Over the years, I'm obviously in my 50s now, and I grew up. I was a Sports Illustrated kid, and obviously Peter King was kind of a renowned sports writer. Through the early stages, my teenage life and all like that. The older I get, the less I respect his opinion. if you will, and especially with all this nonsense about the Troy Polamalu thing and the Hall of Fame,
Right.
and just kind of going against things that you would think should happen when it comes to voting for the Hall of Fame and all. I just don't respect his opinion anymore. And look, we get it by now. All offseason, people have been saying, the Steelers' backup quarterback situation is crap. Okay. Well, look, if Ben Roethlisberger goes down, I don't really care for the most part who your backup quarterback is,
Hmm.
quite honestly, because the chances of the team, going far really going to decrease dramatically there. So, I mean, if he's got the Steelers being ranked, what is it, 10th overall, just
Yep.
because of the backup quarterback situation, then he's really scratching deep to try to find a reason to have him that low. I
Hmm.
think.
But that part aside, do you think 10th is fair? I think that's a reasonable place to put Pittsburgh, coming off the season
I
they
think
did.
it's a reasonable place overall. I just
Hmm.
think the reasoning behind it
Right.
is flawed. Just come out and say not so sure about what the offense might look like this year. Because I mean, anybody if anybody writes anything about, man, I'm not sure about that Steelers defense in 2020, well then they're just not paying attention.
Right.
Okay. Obviously the offense with the return of Ben and really, James Conner staying healthy and Juju staying healthy, and how maybe kind of this slightly rebuilt offensive line goes. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, top to bottom, offense and defense. Look at how many returning guys from the 2019 squad are likely to make this 53-man roster. And if that's the case, based on the truncated off season and all, it's going to be an advantage for the Steelers.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly, and that's something the King does touch on at least. Muted Genome has a super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it. He says, "Here's some coin for the great work."
Are we supposed to hit our fists together like Wonder Twins?
Wonder Twin powers activate. Yeah, with the rings. Do you guys think Minka has the ability to be a freelance playmaker like Troy? I mean, it's so tough to put anyone in that same category as Troy, but so I don't think Minka has that total innate freelance ability, but I think he's someone that needs to be used with more versatility in 2020, and I expect him to be used in that way.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have, or they want him to kind of have that kind of freelance, kind of like Troy did, especially second half of Troy's career. Really, I mean, you go back to some of the early stuff to hear Coach Coward talk about some of the things. It was like, no, 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 no. Oh yeah, good
Right.
job, Troy. That kind of thing there. Look, Minka's still growing as a player, and it's exciting to think about the season that he had last, in 2019, which really wasn't even a full season with the Steelers, and kind of, was kind of tied to the post, if you will, and they didn't really do a lot with him. To thinking about what all, and Alex and I talked, a lot about this, I think, on the last couple of podcasts. What, but look, we don't expect him down in the box 50% of the time,
Hmm.
but he's going to have to move around. I think little bit more than he did last season. And I think that because of his ability to read, I think he's got good diagnostic skills when it comes to reading stuff. Heck, look at that! Look at the breakup on Cooper Cup against the Rams.
Hmm.
It's just a good read and quick see to do, if you will. So are we expecting him to take the next step as a defensive player in 2020? Absolutely. What
Right.
what will that step look like? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the things that are important to remember with him is that he's A, 23 years old. He's only in his third year in the NFL overall, and B, obviously his first full year in Pittsburgh where he knows it right away. He gets thrown into the fire last year. And I had an article, and let me pull it up because it actually touches on the point we're talking about here. Wrote it this morning for Steelers Depot. You guys can check it out. I said the title was Steelers Secondary Finally Offering Critical Continuity. And I had asked this question about a week ago, maybe on the live stream, Dave, or Dave, when was the last time the Steelers had the same core secondary from the end of one year to the start of the next? And last time that happened was 2011, so just about a decade ago. And so I think that's going to be really important to allow this defense to hit the ground running, to move Minka around, so offenses just can't avoid him in the post the way they could the back half of last year. Gaming, and so thank you very much, Mutated Genome, for the super chat. We appreciate the question. Gaming with Jackie asks, "What do you think about Derek Watt?" If you had to put a snap count, Dave, on how many snaps you think Watt will play this year, what would you ballpark it at?
I'd put ceiling at 200, to be honest with you.
200.
I mean, maybe slightly more, but I mean, I
But
that would
but
come
that's
as
ceiling, right? What do you think is the actual number gonna be? That's high
I
end.
I would think between around 150,
Yeah.
160, right around in there. Now look, the obvious goal, get some leads in some games, and then then bring the
Mhm.
hammers in,
Right. Run that power.
and right, run that power and put that fullback body on him and all like that. But yeah, I see a lot of people say, well, he can do this, he can play tight end. No, actually can't. I mean, an emergency situation, you could probably line him up on the end of the line of scrimmage, but I wouldn't look for any of that. I mean, he's going to be a lead blocker type of guy. He's going to do exactly what Roosevelt Nix did
Mhm.
during most of his tenure, except if he stays healthy, obviously, do it a little bit more because, and once again, this team can get these leads in the fourth quarter, by more than just one score. It's a perfect opportunity to get him some steps in there. Now, obviously, when it comes to special team stuff, I mean, his resume speaks for itself. So, I mean, the fact that you're losing Roosevelt Nix, yeah, that it certainly does suck from a special team standpoint. But let's not fool ourselves that Watt was, arguably one of the best special teams players in
Mhm.
the entire NFL last season.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mix of replacing Nix. And Nix was an excellent special teamer when healthy, but also replacing a guy like Tyler Metakevich, who was, I think maybe the best coverage guy, or at least statistically the best coverage guy since he got drafted in 2016. So I'm excited about that. From that aspect, I'm almost just as excited about Watt on special teams as I am what he can offer on offense. But certainly, just having a fullback, more variety. Remember, this was the worst. This was the worst offense in a lot of categories last year, but it was the worst short yardage offense by far, I believe, last year. Third and one, fourth and one, third and three, and closer. They were abysmal. So having a fullback certainly is going to help alleviate and fix some of those problems.
And the thing is, too, go back to last year. Roosevelt Nix obviously dressed for the opener against the Patriots, but he was injured at some point, probably early in that game,
Hmm.
that prevented him from playing. What did he even play any offensive
No, he
snaps?
did
No,
not play a single
right.
snap that game. Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously was sidelined after that. And when he did finally get himself back on the field, it was easy for me to. I think I took some criticism for that as
Right.
well too,
But you were right.
for saying that this guy isn't right. This
That
isn't
was the
this,
Colts
and
game, right? I think it
I
was
believe so.
Colts.
I mean,
Yeah.
and look, there you no bigger fan of the fullback maybe than me, and especially a guy like Roosevelt Nix when it's done right with him. But he clearly was not the same guy. Didn't have that short area, ability to change direction. Like, not that he's ever been great in that role, but just he wasn't the same guy. And obviously the running game suffered by not having around him on the field for all those weeks as well. So yeah, I think Watt's going to be a huge, as long as he stays healthy, a huge shot in the arm for this offense.
Agreed. So thank you guys for being here so far. Again, you have any Steelers questions, feel free to drop it in the chat below. Tim Ray asks a really good question here in a comment. I just watched a Munchak clinic from back in 2017. I noticed he really emphasized staying square in footwork and not a lot of jump setting or aggressive pass pro and such. Did you notice the line style change at all last year, or do you think Surratt stuff mostly aligns with him? Is Surratt such a downgrade that you would look for another guy to come help the group? Tim, let me know. Are you talking about the Cool Clinic in Dayton, Ohio from 2017? Because I have the copy of that. I've watched that. It's a great session. And yeah, I remember Munchak talking about how your first two steps are the most important thing. And that's going to basically determine right off the bat whether or not you're going to win or lose the rep. I don't have a great way to compare the style last year. I think it varies from guy to guy. I know Villanueva will short set and jump set a lot of guys, and that's kind of to his wheelhouse. Where you may see less of it from Filer or even Palanty sometimes. So I think it changes guy to guy. I didn't see a big difference last year in terms of that aspect of it. And then the question of did they have another guy to bring in? Remember, they brought in Adrian Clem from former UCLA Bruin to be an assistant offensive line coach. So I think it's pretty similar considering how closely Surratt learned from Mike Munchak. And so I don't think the principle has changed too much, but obviously you want to see this group finish better than the way it finished last year. Dave, any thoughts on Surratt and offensive line comparing him to Munchak?
No, it's just I don't think he forgot everything that yeah, notes and all that he took from Munchak over the years and all like that. You know, now is maybe he picking up on some stuff and maybe just not reaffirming the kind of stuff. I assume they're doing a lot of the same drills that they've always
Mhm.
have done.
Yep.
You know with the offensive line there, and look, I mean the offensive line is another year older and all. Would you obviously would you like to have Mike Munchak still there? Yes, I mean that's the obvious answer. But I mean, unless we see this offensive line just fall flat on its face this season, you know that wasn't the primary. You know, although you know they were confused quite a bit in the last couple of games there against the Jets and the Bills. You know, the defensive coordinator did a great job
Mhm.
of doing some things that Surratt didn't adjust to up on the line there. But I need to see a little bit more bad to get as worried maybe as most.
Yeah, and obviously just having Ben that gives you more answers in the protection game, the bigger threat of the pass, and just creating more answers is going to help you a lot more than being hamstrung and limited by Mason and Duck. So a lot of factors with getting Ben back. But yeah, you definitely want to see more from Surratt. But you're right, Dave. I mean, the camp last year, the drills they ran with Munchak, basically the same. I think a couple different things. I mean, they're different stylistically. Surratt's not I'm trying to think. Surratt was more vocal. I think it was a little more vocal than Munchak is. Not in a yelly kind of way, just was a louder personality. But yeah, I mean, in terms of stunt pickup, they were repping it every single day. In terms of some of the drills that they do, it was pretty similar. But I do like that they added an assistant coach in Adrian Clem so they can split off in camp. You know, interior offensive lineman with one guy, tackles with the other to maximize reps. That I think is really important and one reason why Munchak had the success he had because Surratt was working alongside him. Steeler fan 1933. I forgot it was Monday. I was expecting Pirates Dodgers division series action. Yeah, I had to change the live stream. I still have to figure out how to change the live stream title so it doesn't repeat the previous one. If anyone knows how to do that, let me know in the comments. But that will be Wednesday, sometime in the afternoon. We'll have games 1 and 2 of the Dodgers Pirates series. Tim says that was the cool clinic. Yeah, that's great coach tape there for sure, Tim. Steeler fan 1933 says Ben will fix a lot of problems. Absolutely. He will cure a lot of the ills this offense had last year. Tim Ray, sticking with the O line. Alex, how would you compare Munch to Grimm, to Russ Grimm? Dave, you might be able to answer that because I was a little bit younger at the end of the Russ Grimm era.
Yeah, that's hard for me because look, we didn't have the all 22, and you know didn't have the offensive line access
Hmm.
interviews, you know that we get now, or a lot of, and really I don't think I've ever seen a Grim coaches clinic. Have you?
No, I mean they're comparable, obviously, from what they did as players. They had that credibility because they're both Hall of Famers, right? Russ Grimm's a Hall of Famer with Washington, the Hog Mollies, and Munchak with Houston, right?
Right, but as far as coaching
Hmm.
goes, I mean, I can't even touch that, you know, that question because I just don't know enough about how Grimm coached, you know, during his tenure.
Let me ask you this, Dave. Back in '07, after Cower retired, was it really like that strong feeling that Grimm was going to be the next head coach? Was that feeling legitimate, or does that was kind of more of a played up by media types?
That seems like that was the scuttlebutt at a time. Now remember, you know, even way back then, you were just starting to get into a little bit. I mean, when did Twitter come around? I mean, that was even before the Twitter
Hmm.
world. So I mean, yeah, you had your online papers and all
True.
like that, but most of what you got, you know, blogs obviously weren't big at the time. You just read a lot of forums, you
Hmm.
know, a
Because that
lot
was
of
before Steelers Depot was a thing, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
A year or
yeah,
two, at least.
and yeah, but I remember just kind of reading the papers. And look, I mean, I don't think you had the access to the radio stations out of town
Hmm.
on the net like you do obviously do now. There, so I just remembered that was kind of the more. I think it was more speculation than anything. But I mean, who knows? You know how those interviews went, and I mean, obviously, you know, obviously he didn't get the job. So there you go. I mean, it was a bit of a shock. I think when Tomlin got the job,
Yeah,
though, overall.
I was going to ask. I know I'm pressing your memory here a little bit, but when did the feeling shift from Grimm to someone else, or at least Tomlin? Was that like right before Tomlin got hired, or was that kind of the feeling throughout the hiring process?
Yeah, I don't remember that kind of that, you know, because it's like one day it's this and then next day's this, even though it's probably 2 weeks mixed in between there. You know, the best thing is probably go back and read newspapers.com.
Hmm. Good
You
point.
know, because I've been having a lot of fun.
I was-
I've been
I'm going to bring that
I've
up soon.
Yeah, I've been buried in newspapers.com lately, reading a lot of old stuff related and all like that. So, might need to go back and research that. But I don't remember the overall kind of timeline, Alex, from where it went to where it's, speculation heavy that was going to be grim to Mike Tomlin, being the new
Hmm.
head coach.
Yeah, I was actually on newspapers.com yesterday too, getting ready stuff for a future video. So that is, by the way, if you don't know what that is, just yeah, newspapers.com or Google newspaper, type it in, and you can find a lot of good information for free, which is really really valuable.
Right. Once you know how to use their search function and limit the dates, have a section of dates, you can really get around that site.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, you will literally spend 6 hours on there going down rabbit holes, reading some old stuff there for sure.
Yeah, I want to talk about the series you're doing here in a moment, Dave. But before that, a couple of questions. Comments. Steeler fan 1933 says, "I thought Grimm or Kirk Ferentz would be the head coach in '07. Ferentz, the head coach at Iowa. Was he a serious candidate for the Steelers job? 'Cause he never interviewed, I don't think, did he? Do
Yeah,
you
I'm
remember?
trying to. I remember hearing. I
Is that
want to
just
say it
a
was more
rumor?
speculation
Yeah.
or at the time. I don't remember him interviewing, but That's one of the things I'll have to research.
Connor, and I'm going to butcher the last name, so I apologize, Connor Kuzinski. We'll go with that. What player do you think will be the most improved next season? I think there's a lot of good candidates for that. I cannot wait to see Deontay Johnson catching passes from Ben Roethlisberger. Only caught 7 passes last year, can't preseason and regular season, so it feels kind of brand new for those guys to work together. I've talked about UG3, and I think the big step up he's going to take. So I think those are the first two names that come to mind when you ask that question, Connor. Dave, any thoughts?
I hope it's Terrell Edmonds.
Yeah, I mean,
Not that's not who I think it'll be, but I mean that's who I'm hoping it will be
the
because they really could use him to take a step at all,
mhm.
in a positive playmaking direction there. But I mean, there's several. I mean, you look at any of these second year guys, of course, starting with Deontay Johnson, that's the group that you're really going to expect the big leap, and then obviously with Minkah being first full season with the team, you would expect that to be a little bit of jump on top of it.
Let me ask you this, Dave, because we know like the big issue. We would agree the big issue for Edmonds is he needs to become more of a playmaker. Is that fair to say? That's his number one thing he's got to work on.
Yeah, and his tackling, I think.
Okay. Do you think we know he can become a better tackler? Anyone can become a better tackler. Do you think he can become a better playmaker with time, or do you think it's one of those things where you have it or you don't?
Uh, well, I mean, look, I mean, do you have it or you don't as a pass rusher too? We saw one guy in, I mean, Bud Dupree that
True.
erased that this past season. There, I think he has it in him. I don't know what that looks like though. I mean, any play at any play is going to be more than what he's making right now, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I just
So
I go back and forth because obviously with reps and experience and age, you said with Dupree, you can get that, but I feel like most guys you at least get that inkling right away. Like Minka didn't take long to find out he was a playmaker. Even Troy with his Ills as rookie, you kind of knew he was a different type of dude pretty quickly, and I have yet to see that with Terrell Edmonds. So I think it's just I don't know. I hope so. I mean, he needs to be, yeah, but I just don't know. He's not going to be Troy, obviously, but can he just offer more than what he has?
let's see. I'm pulling up a little something on. Keep talking here, and I'll find it. Okay, it says as of yesterday, the Steelers had not requested permission. Now this was from January 6, 2007, in the Post Gazette by Ed Bouchette. As of yesterday, the Steelers had not requested permission from Iowa officials to talk to Ferentz, but they may soon do so.
Okay.
So that's one article there.
Yeah, Steeler fan says he did interview, I believe. I don't remember that, but I was 14, I think, in '07, so I'm not the best person to ask about that situation. So, but we'll have to research that a little bit. Maybe that'll be a good kind of flashback. Old head coaching candidates from way back when. Tim Ray, what would you consider to be our main defensive coverage? Two man, straight cover two, cover three. I feel like I used to hear a lot about cover three, but recently have heard more about two. Yeah, they used to be Dick LeBeau, old covered three, tackle the catch. Now on third down, it's a lot of two man. It's just more man coverage in general. I think last year or 2 years ago they were the sixth most man coverage heavy defense. So it varies. They're not as much cover three. They'll still, of course, play it. I would say it's more of the Tomlin cover two with some two man and third and long obvious pass situations. AJC, can you tell me about defensive back James Pierre? Yeah, he's the rookie undrafted corner from, is it Florida International or Florida Atlantic? I always get those two mixed up. Do you know which one it is?
What's your name?
James Pierre, the undrafted corner they signed this year.
Oh, is that that's Atlantic, isn't it?
Is it
Or no?
Atlantic? I can't remember. Do
I
we
keep getting them mixed up.
should have a report on him? I can't remember if we have one in yet or not. I know Josh said he was going to take this one. Let's see with Pierre. I don't think we have one yet actually on him. I'll double check with Josh on that. So once we get Josh's report, then we'll tell you more about Pierre. But yeah, they gave him I think a decent signing bonus. It was I think 7K, which was up there for Pittsburgh. So he'll come in and compete, and that six cornerback spot in theory could be wide open. So he'll battle with guys like Alexander Myers and players like that. Traylon Bandy, another UDFA corner from the U, to try to capture that sixth potential cornerback spot. Tim Ray also saw an old Palomalu clip about breaking down a cover six play Eagle plus open me 63. I'm not familiar with that, so I believe it. Yeah, there was, if I pull up cover six here, they did that against Denver to close out the win a few years ago. I don't know if I can pull up the article or not here. I remember writing about that. It was under Keith Butler. Yeah, this one from 2015. So this was his first year. I'll just show the photo of it. But yeah, this was a little bit of combination coverage with their cover six, and they used this like three plays in a row to finish that game with being able to pad or match to the side here with this guy playing trap. So if number two jumps out, he'll go ahead and trap it, and then they're going to play some man coverage to the backside or to the front side, I guess I should say, for this one. Alex Shirzai, I think I say Shirzai. Any free agents you think the Steelers should still go after, or are we done? I think they're basically done with free agents. I would look for trades come mid to late August. I think that's generally the pool which Colbert explores at that time of year. So not really a lot in free agency, Dave, unless you have a name that you think we should
Nah,
suggest.
you kind of know my thoughts on this. I
Hmm.
mean, at this point, during the off season, not saying they won't, but generally when you get this deep into when the Steelers get this deep into the off season, normally any ads will come, via trades at this point,
Hmm.
right before the season. And once again, if it is going to be a safety, it's probably going to be more of a free safety type, one that's well underneath the age of 30, one that's cheap, and one that can give you something on special teams. So that's where we're at. Barring some injuries happening and all like that. I mean. You got $5.7 million in cap space. You've signed zero. Not that your draft picks are going to use up, but about $1 million in available cap space. But there's still $1 million there. There's still well over $1 million that's got to go to a practice squad. There's still in season room that this team's going to need. Now, obviously, a Cam Hayward extension will free up a little bit of room for you. We'll see what happens with Bud Dupree. That deadline's on July 15th as well, too. But overall, I mean, even if they do sign somebody, lower those sites way, way,
Yep.
way, way low.
That's how Colbert does it. I want to wrap up with what Tim was talking about. Would a Tomlin cover two be a Tampa two? Yeah, it was more of that Dungy type. Obviously, that's what we learned from with the Mike Backer getting more depth, open to the strength of the formation. So it's not that all the time, but yeah, I think that's kind of fair to classify it that way. Thank you, Tim, for the cover six article. Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at that. That was I want to remind myself of that article. And Alex
God,
says.
the guy, it's been a while since I've reread that too. I need to
Mhm.
go back and reread that.
Alex says I got the name right. I don't know how I do that. I feel like I butcher these names every single time, but I'm glad to hear it. Mutated Genome asks, Matthew Marksy wrote an article on Steelers Depot, which I have up right now, arguing that Switzer's stock is up. Do you agree? What have his contributions been to warrant even being on the roster? Stock up, really? Well, here's what Matthew had to say. Hate me for this if you must, but yes, this is another positive stock evaluation for Ryan Switzer. Let's see. What does he say? He says the fact of the matter is he's been closer to Roethlisberger than anybody else since his surgery. He has been the one who has been consistently catching footballs from the quarterback since he began throwing footballs in February. Others have also caught passes with him, but Switzer has been there the whole time, and that does matter a lot. So Matthew's arguing the relationship with Ben is important, and that's why his stock's on the rise. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah,
Give your thoughts.
I hope it doesn't come to fruition. But look, I mean, uh, I hate to say it. I mean, you get those extra two kind of floating roster spots, if you will, too, and I mean, he is tight with Ben for whatever reason. There, he doesn't. I understand where Matthew's coming from. I mean, I don't know if that's enough to. I see what Matthew's doing here. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, he's you know, in trying to signal that maybe his stock is up. I don't know if it's up that much just because he got the BFF working there and all, but. Ben does like him. He does have comfort with him. The thing is the snaps that he's on the field for, he's targeted so few in those. And if Deontay Johnson, if the plans are for Deontay Johnson to be the team's punt returner this year, I mean that's just yet another strike against
Hmm.
Switzer, there. So I always revert back to, especially with large position groups such as wide receiver. These things have a funny way of working themselves out
Very true.
here. Personally, I don't want to see Switzer on this 53-man roster, but would I bet against it right now? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm kind of between. I don't think enough has happened to say his stock is up, but I think so many people are very dismissive of Switzer, saying he's got no chance, and that probably is just kind of out of the emotional aspect that they're just fed up with Switzer and they think he won't make it because they're kind of driving that with emotions. But when you talk about, as Matthew says here, last sentence, and the fact is there aren't many slot receivers on this roster anyway. That's very true. And even if Switzer wouldn't be the starting punt returner, he could be the kick returner if Kareth White doesn't make it, or a backup, because there aren't a whole lot of options there on this team right now, given that Tomlin detests using anyone defensive in those situations. So I think there's a case to be made if they keep six. I think and even five potentially. There's those open spots there, and I think Switzer is at least a start inside looking out, and somebody has to take that job from him, like a Blacknall or Anthony Johnson or somebody that has to prove it, because Switzer, to a greater extent than those guys, at least has proven it more on Sundays than the guys that never played in a regular season game before. Let's see. Captain Spartan 04. So I'm already scouting running backs for 2021. Captain Spartan, you are the man of the future. That is where you're at, but I appreciate it. What some of the things I should look for? I know look around 220 pounds. Well, to be fair, Anthony McFarland obviously could throw a slight monkey wrench in that thing. They finally broke that streak consecutively. The other thing I would say is that look for production. They love drafting guys that had high volume or a high amount of production, whether you're talking Connor, Bell, Samuels, Snell. They like guys who found the end zone a lot in college. Randy Fichtner had said that, I think, a year or two ago with Jalen Samuels. Of we knew he could we knew he could play in the NFL because he did it on Saturday. So that's their mindset. If the production is light in college and there isn't a really good reason for it, like McFarland, 2-year guy with the injury, then probably not going to be on the Steelers' radar.
I tell you, some of the things over the years that I've learned slowly but surely is looking at the ability to break the tag. Look, we see all these guys run through these massive holes, at the college level. A lot of backs are able to do that. How many of these backs can make guys miss in the backfield? I mean, we saw the kid out of Florida State, Akers, really showed a lot of doing a lot with a little there during his career at Florida State. So the ability, I think, to make something out of nothing in the backfield or for whatever college is something to definitely look at. The thing that really jumps out, I think, on McFarland's tape is, boy, that speed to the edge, man. Yeah, he hits it, up the middle quick. But you want to talk about a guy that can get to the edge and turn that corner and make guys take bad angles on him. It's him. So just overall speed, which sometimes is hard to see, at least for me on TV tape there, and then also ability to make get that extra yardage at kind of the second level. Are they consistently breaking arm tackles, and are they constantly moving the pile? Little things like that will help you really start, I think, separating out, which is obviously a lot of good talent at the running back position at the college level.
Face Windu says something when your yards per catch is south of 5 in reference to Switzer. True. Now, it is fair to say that they've used Switzer like a running back for a lot of games and a lot of routes, and I think he can be more of a vertical threat than what the team has used him. But point taken there. I think I've had said the stat before that he's got the lowest yards per catch of any player in NFL history with 50 plus receptions. So Yeah.
average depth of target and average depth of completed target. Two
It's
very
low.
underrated stats in my opinion when it comes to advanced metrics nowadays. I love those metrics when it comes to depth of targets.
And Switzer's is very low in both those categories, correct?
Yeah, well under five.
Yeah. Steeler fan 1933. According to Wikipedia, Ferentz did not interview with the Steelers. Assuming that is true, my memory has failed me again. I do remember thinking he might be the guy, though. Yeah, sounds like there was interest there, but it never really materialized. He's got a good gig at Iowa. Captain Spartan 04. Do y'all think we trade for a D tackle or we stick with the D lineman we have now? My gut says they will not trade for a D tackle. They probably are more likely to trade for a safety, but we'll see what happens. You go into camp, you find out your roster, and that's when Colbert makes his move.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Steve McClendon will get cut, and that's going to be your last minute guy there for the minimum, so Steve can make one final run at this thing. Good guy, still able to get it done as of last year as a member of the Jets, but probably not a guy that they want to maybe pay that kind of money to and expect him to play the kind of snaps that I think they think that they might want to play him. So that's where I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So if it's not a guy like him, then I think it's obvious in house. You
Hmm.
know,
And that'd be McCullers and Tyson Alu, right? Is that how we're saying it now?
Alu, Alu,
Al
Alu.
all right.
But
I'll
even
get
so,
there.
you know, you go back, just not many. How many snaps did I say Alu played at true nose tackle
No,
last
it's
year? Like
very
six
few.
or
It's very, very few.
and Bugs played none or one? No,
One,
two,
I think it was
two.
one or two on a technical. I think PFF had him at two. We have him for one.
Right.
So
So
it limited.
there's just not enough. Now here's the only thing about Wormley that I'll say once again. It dates back to what I said about him right from the get go after they traded for him. Is hey, he's got some limited snaps, I think, in the middle there as a nose tackle during his time with the Ravens. And on the flip side is, in general, he's a better player against the run than he is as a pass rusher, in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe there's a little something there, but to me, right now, it's still a dice throw. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, McClendon remains the leader in the clubhouse, in my opinion, and I, obviously hope that's not what happens here. But until my eyes or your eyes tell me otherwise at camp or something, that's what I got to believe.
Yeah, and I'm just going off of what Tomlin said when he talked about naming the nose tackles and how Colbert basically said that Wormley's a base end and not a base nose tackle. That leaves you with McCullers and Alu.
I don't know if I want to watch Alu play 300 snaps at a
Yeah,
nose.
I maybe they split him $150 each. I don't know. We'll see. Tim Ray, is that production preference? This is in reference to running backs, specific to running backs, or more of a general Steelers draft principle? I'd have to look. I think it's more of a general principle. Receivers are pretty production heavy, right, Dave? You've preached that a lot come draft time.
Yeah, what's the threshold? Like 100 and something college receptions, I think, for the wide receivers coming out. A little over 100. I forget what I wrote that up when we were discussing Miles Boykin a couple of
Hmm.
years ago. There now, obviously, there have been some exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, they like the 100 something plus at least college reception. I was a big fan of DJ Chark,
Right.
coming out a couple years ago, but I couldn't put him in any. I don't think I could put him in any of my mock drafts because he didn't have enough receptions coming out.
Hmm. Yeah, that LSU offense before Joe Burrow was not very good. So I would say production matters more for running back, but it does seem to matter across the board. But I have not done the deep dive statistically to answer that question fully, Tim. Grant Humphrey. Hey, fellas. Grant, thank you so much for being here. Thanks to everybody who is here. Captain Spartan 04. Also, when looking at back, should I only stick with Power 5 guys? Only non Power 5 guy that comes to mind we got was Dree Archer. I don't have the list in front of me. Power 5 is usually safe to go, not only for running back, but for across the board in the draft. I mean, it varies a little bit, but yeah, what running back, what non Power 5 running backs have they drafted in the Colbert era? There's Archer. I remember Frank Summers, fullback running back from UNLV.
Wow, he's
Um,
technically a fullback,
yeah,
right?
he was kind of neither, and that was sort of the problem with Frank the Tank. Trying to think anybody else. Noah Herron. What did Noah Herron go? Virginia Tech, I think. Baron Batch went to Texas
Texas
Tech.
Tech.
Yeah, any other non-Power 5? That's a good point,
Jonathan
there.
Dwyer was Georgia
Georgia Tech,
Tech.
right? I mean, obviously,
Mendenhall was
Illinois.
Illinois.
Yeah, obviously, the recent guys have all been Power 5, Connor, Bell, Snell, Samuels, McFarland. Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe there's somebody in the early 2000s I'm missing right now. Cedric Humes, remember Cedric Humes? Virginia Tech, I think. So, yeah, I think it has been mostly Power 5, so good point there. But they have generally been a Power 5 drafting team overall, too, so not super surprising. Aaron Young, Alex, odds McFarland surpasses Connor Snell as the main ball carrier, not without injury, especially to Connor. If Connor's healthy, he's the dude. That's Tomlin's mindset, and Connor's earned that with his play when he's available.
If he touches the ball, like we said, 100 times, if McFarland touches the ball 100 times during his rookie season, something's probably happened in there.
Yeah.
And maybe that something happened is he's really produced when he's gotten the football in his hands. But no, I don't see it. I think the sweet spot's between maybe 100 and 110 10 touches, and that's high. I mean, that to me, that's ceiling for a guy like McFarland.
Yeah, yeah. Without there being an injury that would influence those numbers in a significant type way. All right, Dave, chat slowing up here a little bit. You've been doing this big series here, Steelers big plays from the last 50 years, and I can pick them here, whichever one you want to talk about the most right now.
Just go to the most recent one
Okay,
there with Sidney Thornton and
right.
run the tape.
Okay, literally run the tape here. Yeah, Sidney
Run
Thornton,
the tape.
he had like one good year in Pittsburgh, right? And that was about it, something
Well,
like
you had
that.
really one good game, and you're about
Okay,
to see
okay.
one run. Watch him explode off the old Ride 38 play, the signature, the Steelers' signature kind of running play back in the day, especially in the 70s. Watch Mike Webster get out to the edge here, and get the get the edge off of him and get the lane there. Watch him just explode on this.
I'm playing it now if it's coming up, and he didn't have the gas to finish the play. Unfortunately, got
No,
caught from behind.
the piano got a little heavy there,
Yeah, right.
but look at that deep. That was a rookie DB that ran him down as well too for the old Baltimore Colts as well too. But
Okay.
I tell you, 15 yards past the line of scrimmage, he was. I did not remember him being that quick. Run
Yeah.
it again there.
And
There
I
you
didn't
go.
realize. Yeah, I want to show Webster because I didn't realize the block
Watch
he had till you
Webster get
pointed
out
out. Yeah,
there.
there's Webster right there. We'll see him peel off to the right side and throw a block right there. Dang, Webby could move. How cool is it? I've never seen that. I've never seen this clip before, so I love this. This is awesome. This was at 75 yards.
75, Ride
Yeah,
38.
very cool. And so this was basically the one good game that Sidney Thornton had. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
he
saying?
had go back in the poster, 100 and something rushing yards in that game, and he had even injured his ribs during the first series of that game as well too. And played through that. He also had another, I think, like 16 or 17 yard run in that game as well too. And the bad thing about the tail end of that explosive run right there, they didn't even score on that drive. The
Mm,
very next play, Rocky Blyer fumbled away the football on that drive there. But that was that went in the books. Your career high, 129 yards for Sydney. They drafted him in the second round. I forgot they drafted him in the second round. You
wow.
want to talk about small school? Northwestern State
Mm.
University.
Not Northwestern,
Uh,
but Northwestern State, right?
yeah, and that's in Louisiana.
Okay, very
Yeah, that,
cool.
that that's in Louisiana. But man, I had forgot. I uploaded that. I watched that tape for this morning. I was like, man, I can't remember how quick that Sidney Thornton was there. But yeah, the piano did get a little bit heavy there at the end.
Yeah, I'll show the clip here one more time for you guys. So very cool. Has that been your favorite play of the big play series you've done so far, or is there one that you just kind of enjoyed even more?
Yeah, that one just well, this is the first run. Now these are all offensive regular season explosive plays. What I'm doing is I'm going year by year,
Right.
and I'm recapping the biggest, the longest play from scrimmage in each of those years from the offense, and started obviously in 1970, and this is obviously 1979. This is the only play that was a run for the decade. That was the longest play of the season there. I like this one, and I'm trying to think what other one kind of. There are a lot of kind of fluky stuff,
Mm-hmm.
happen with a lot of these plays, a lot of tip balls
I like
and
this one from '72, so McMakin robbing Shanklin.
oh yeah,
This
yeah.
was really funny.
That wasn't supposed to go that way either. That ball was supposed to be for Ron Shanklin over the middle, and you go back and you look at the archives and McMakin. A lot of people don't remember too. McMakin was the guy that Phil Villa Piano accused of clipping him on the Immaculate Reception.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, John
Okay.
McMakin was the tight end out there that that's accused of doing the clip there after Franco nabbed the Immaculate Reception there.
I just can't believe they
Uh,
didn't catch this guy. This guy does not look that fast. Like, these DBs can't catch him? That's a lot. Now, was McMakin he was drafted by Knoll? Do you know what's his backstory?
I'm trying to remember when he was drafted. I should know that all this is starting to run together in just a
Yeah,
short.
alright. I just love how the line blocks too, the old school, like, you can't because you couldn't really use your hands back then, you just had to kinda bump into these guys, and they're just cut blocking
Yeah,
and
McMakin was drafted in the third round of the 1972 NFL draft by the Steelers out of Clemson
of '72, you said? So it's
of
a rookie year?
72. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So I like that highlight a lot. It's been a really cool series, so you guys feel free to check it out. So you're gonna do all from
I'm going from
70.
I'm doing 50, man. I'm doing
Wow,
50.
doing it
That's
big.
why that's why you see 2 or 3 of those posts a day because I gotta get into this thing hard and heavy if I'm gonna knock out 50 years worth of plays. So I already made it through the 70s there, and tomorrow we'll put up 2 or 3 from the 80, 81, and maybe even 82.
Speaking of things Dave Bryan loves, Captain Spartan04, what's Dave's thoughts on George Kittle potentially resetting the tight end market? You think it's going to happen, and how much will that change the landscape?
Yeah, look, I mean, if anybody deserves it, it's him, right? You
Absolutely.
know, uh, phenomenal player. The thing is with him, going back to his college tape, there, the lack of production, the lack of overall production as a receiver is the guy is the thing that kept his draft stock down. I think, because boy, he was tossing people out of the club.
Mhm.
That's the thing that attracted me to him initially with his college tape was his blocking ability, and really, I thought he was fine as a receiver. He just didn't have the stat that Iowa doesn't normally throw
Mhm.
a lot to their tight ends up until kind of recently, I guess, with Hawkinson and Fant and all like that. But yeah, I mean, if he's not the top tight end, top paid tight end, he'll be right up there, with it.
Yeah, I think he'll be number one easily, for sure. Michael, and I'll struggle with the last name here. Campo Latro. Do you think Samuels is the odd man out? My inclination is it'll be Kareth White as the odd man out. Well, I've been pretty critical of Samuels. I think he offers more versatility, and while White offers the big playability, McFarland offers that too. And of course, he's going to make the team, or very likely to make the team as a draft pick. So I think Kareth White is outside looking in right now.
Yeah, them guys not sleeping too well since the draft. I don't think
Hmm.
Samuels and Kareth White maybe.
Steeler fan 1933 with a compliment here. Guys, Steelers Depot has been my only source for Steelers news since 2008. So he's been here since the beginning. Thank you to all of you guys for staying out of silly speculation and being realistic with your information on our Steelers. Thank you so much for being a longtime supporter, my dude.
Yeah, and thank you. Look, coming across great talent, Matthew Marksey first, several years. Heck, how many years ago has that been now, Alex?
6? God, it's coming up here. I think
Golly.
Matthew's about to have his anniversary because he was in June at some point.
Yeah, Matthew kind of caught on. And Matthew was kind of blogging, quote unquote, I guess blogging, if you will, before I brought him on there. The thing was, he wasn't making any money doing it
Okay.
at all, but he kind of had the same kind of sight voice as I did. He knew not to get crazy with this thing and to cover it, as objectively as possible and not get silly out there. And he obviously was a big hit right off the bat, and then obviously not too far behind that, Alex. I came across Alex, and Alex really picked up the whole blogging thing, if you will, real quick. And obviously, as the availability of tape kind of coincided with NFL Game Pass and all, I mean, just really kind of opened up the world to us as a site. So obviously, me, Matthew, and Alex, kind of the core, and since then we've got a lot of great guys that contribute to the
Hmm.
site now and all, and really has done the job of making it what it is now.
Absolutely. Thankful for the whole team here. Captain Spartan '04, Northwestern State almost beat LSU a couple of years ago. Did they? Okay. Yeah, I remember Jazz Ferguson, the big receiver, who was a former LSU guy that went transferred to Northwestern State. And I don't know if any other, I'm sure there's been a couple other Northwestern State guys that have come out of there, but none coming to mind right now. Aaron Young, Alex, outside of the starters, are concerned about depth in the linebacker position. I think there's some unknowns there, sure. I think obviously you got like UG3, I've talked up a lot, is still an unknown, mostly an unknown. I just think he has the ability, and I want to see more from him. And then the outside linebacker spot, you have some options there with Adaney and Skipper and Highsmith, but someone's got to be able to take that control of that number 3 spot. But I think there's enough talent there that you'll find someone to fit with good, healthy competition. Tim Ray, Packers released DVD for a lot of their season. Steelers do on Super Bowl years, but also have done seemingly random years like '09 and 11. Any rhyme or reason for this? Why not all? Very good question, Tim. I honestly haven't even kept track. It may just be on their best years that they want to do a DVD season. They don't want to do it in years where they're going to go 8-8. But I don't know the answer to that, Tim.
Yeah, I don't know it either.
Jamal Curtis, is there a chance Dion Kane and Switzer both make the roster after Juju Claypool, Washington, and ability, Jamal?
I think it's wide open once you get past those top four. I think it's wide open.
Are we still okay? We're still good with the live stream because it just said for a second we went offline. So are we still here? I just want to make sure. I think we're still here. So let me know if you guys can still hear us. Dave, you can still hear me, right?
I can still hear
Okay.
you. I hear you now. Yep.
All right.
I never lost you.
No. Okay. Just for like 5 seconds, it said the live stream went off. I'm checking my OBS. It says we are still live. So hopefully we're still here. I'll go through these couple more questions. We'll probably end the stream here in a second. Jeremy says still hear you. Okay. Good deal. Captain Spartan '04, do y'all think next year could be a rare Cobra draft next year where we don't draft a wide receiver, assuming Juju has a decent year where we franchise him? Yeah, I mean, it would make sense after drafting Juju, Deontay, Claypool, but it's just hard to say. And as you mentioned, Captain Spartan, it depends on what happens to Juju, if he's retained or not. If he's not retained, then yeah, probably they're going to draft somebody. Okay, let's see. Steeler fan. It's cutting off and on, but seems to be back. Okay. All right. Still good. Still live here. All right. Jamal, have you seen any tape on running back? Okay. I almost fell into that one, Jamal. You almost got me. I caught myself, though. That's good practice. Dave, what do you think about Alex making appearances on Stan Savran? Yeah, I've been thankful to go on there, but it's been pretty infrequent. So, Dave, are you still doing the Dave Weekly?
Oh yeah, I've
Things?
done Dave
Okay.
Weekly every Tuesday for years, and sometimes occasionally probably about 4 times a year. I think Alex sits in if
Hmm.
I have to go out of town or have something scheduled on that.
How did
And
that start? Did he find you? You find him? How's that
uh,
relationship begin?
no, they reached out to me several years ago there and to form a host as well too. So yeah, I've done it. I can't remember I don't know how long I've done it now, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's every Tuesday. I think at a little after 4 Eastern time on the West Virginia station there. Just
He's
check my Twitter feed and
right. Does
yeah.
he still have the lead in with the stock report of the day? I still
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that.
he does that, and the question of the day.
Right.
They,
Question of the
they have
day.
the question, and usually I usually when I come on, I'll usually chime in on the question of the day if it's something that's up my alley there. But real super nice people there, and thankful to be on with them, and as I know you are thankful to be on Stan's show whenever he
Hmm.
has you on.
Last question here from Aaron Young, and it's a topic here that Matthew wrote and posed this morning. Over under Deontay Johnson gets 1,000 yards receiving. I will go first and say under, just because I think the offense will be spread around enough that it won't be enough to get him over that hump. I think he'll have more than last year, but I think he will fall a little shy of 1,000 yards. But still gonna have a good year.
Yeah, I'll take the under too. I know that's not going to be popular, but when you go back and you look at you and I talked the other day on the podcast, Alex, said, what is this? He's striving to be the 13th different Steelers
Yep.
player to record 1,000 yard receiving year, and that's quite a low number. I mean, look, I mean, it's been done by some of those players on that list, obviously multiple times, but just trying to get that first one in is tough. Who's the one most likely of the two between Jude? The better question is if one does have 1,000 yard season, who's more likely to have it, Juju or Deontay?
Yeah, I'm still going Juju. It's more likely to having that. I think he'll get more production out of the slot than on the X spot. Let's see here. Jeremy, thank you so much for the kind words. Jamal says Dave should make a personal vlog where we hear opinions and commentary from the life of Dave. I fully support that.
You will after my playing days are over.
Yeah, when you're moving on with life's
uh,
work.
yeah, a lot of that's not safe for work.
Yeah. Ernest Grice, are
uh,
you okay with the quarterbacks on the roster? Kind of have to be. I mean, I never got into the whole sign every veteran quarterback, but as I wrote about a couple weeks ago, this team has shown confidence in Mason, and that's fair, but he's got to prove it. There's still unknowns with Mason. It's a big year for him. All right, guys, gonna start wrapping up the stream here. By the way, just a heads up, since you guys are here for the live stream, and Dave and I are very thankful and appreciative for you guys stopping by, I will let you know the next video I will do in my Steelers Bust series, which I've done Limas Swede and Senquez Golson so far. It will be on Troy Edwards, the first round pick in, what was it, 98, 99? Whenever year that was. I'll work on that for the video. That will be the next one we do for our bus series. So letting you guys know a little ahead of time what's on tap. I don't know when that'll be. Sometime late this week, maybe early next week. But a heads up there. Okay, one more.
Also, if you
Yep,
guys can go to iTunes and grade, put some comments on the podcast. If any of you listen to the podcast, that's certainly appreciated. If
definitely.
you're on Twitter and can retweet our stuff, especially the articles that go to Steelers Depot, if you'll retweet those help us out a ton as well too on social media as well. And just appreciate and we invite everybody to to take uh, to participate in the comments section on the blog as well too. But just thrilled. This live stream's been absolutely fantastic, and just one other kind of way that we try to open ourselves up
Mhm.
to the readership and listenership. And I think Alex has done a great job with it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, remember, check us out on Facebook. I don't know if everyone realizes we do have a Facebook page, Steelers Depot. I mean, we've got like 35,000 plus likes, but if you have not liked us on Facebook, feel free to do so to get content that way as well. So we will be back next Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Peace and love. Peace and